Alrighty team, the countdown to Go Wild is officially on, so today I wanted to show you my planner for Go Wild, or effectively the notebook that I'm using to plan my trip and record my memories. If you haven't heard of Go Wild before, it is a planner conference held by Wild for Planners each year, world events permitting, and for 2023 it is happening in Washington DC. Ever since hearing about it, I have super wanted to Go Wild, but it never really fell at a convenient time of the year for me, because up until last year I was a full-time teacher, and the Go Wild conference always seemed to fall in the middle of term time. It meant that I could never actually make it along. But this year I am able to make it, and I am very excited. I've never been to the US before, so this is going to be the first time for that as well, so lots to look forward to. In terms of the supplies that I used to set up this travel planner though, we of course have the planner itself. I used a dot grid B6 size notebook from Archer & Olive, just because I figured it was nice and small and compact and will be easy to take away with me. I of course also had to use some pens, so we've got things like the Zig Clean Colored Dot Marker, the Crayola Super Tip, I have an Archer & Olive Calliograph, a couple of Tombos, and the Tombow Fudenosuke brush tip pen. Along with those, I also did use some double-sided tape for a couple of sections in the journal, but as always, everything is linked in the description box below. Jumping on into the notebook though, on this first page we of course just have the nameplate page, just name, little stars, looking very cute. After that though, we have the kind of overview page for the trip. So because it's in Washington DC, I just titled the page as Washington DC, and I've written out when it's happening, so my to and from date, where I'll be staying, which I haven't filled in yet because privacy and stuff. We have who, which is Vogel and I are taking this trip, and what we're going to be doing. So far I've only listed out the Go Wild Planner Conference, of course, meeting internet friends, and the JCC meetup, but I'm also going to list out some of the attractions that Vogel and I will hope to see while we're there. This graphic at the bottom though is a recreation of what's on some of the official correspondence from Wild for Planners in relation to the Go Wild Planner Conference, and I'm looking forward to seeing some of these monuments in person, so that'll be exciting too. After this though, we have my trip checklist page. So effectively a list of all of the stuff that I have to do in the lead up to the trip. You can see some of them have been ticked off, some of them are yet to be ticked off, and I really need to get onto them. And I've also got a little bit of extra space at the bottom just for anything else that I can think of. Again, we've got that kind of wave at the bottom for decoration, and then on the right hand side here, we have my travel details and my accommodation details. So the places that we're staying and the date ranges that we're staying there, and then the different flights that we have to take to get into DC and then out of DC. Probably the thing I'm looking forward to the least about the trip is the flights. But underneath these post-it notes, I've listed things like what our booking numbers are, what times the flights are happening, that kind of stuff. For the accommodation though, I've just listed out the names of the places we're staying and their street addresses. After this one though, we have my itinerary spread. So this is my itinerary for the trip in general, so what are Vogel and I going to be doing on each of the days we're there, and then this one is going to be the Go Wild schedule. At the moment they have released a tentative Go Wild schedule, but I don't want to put it in until things are actually confirmed, so it can kind of have as much information as possible. But you can see we have 4 columns, so one for each of the days that the conference is happening, or you could think of it as kind of like check-in day, conference day 1, conference day 2, and then check-out day. The time range I've put down the side is 8 AM till 10 PM because I don't need to plan anything before 8 AM. I'm not a morning person. I know that it's been said that some people line up the doors really early on the kind of main conference days. Yeah, that's not going to be me. I like to sleep. Flipping over though, we have my pre-trip shopping list, so the things that I need to buy before packing for the trip, and then I've also got a packing list, so I make sure that I include everything that I need to take with me. At the moment I've only written some things down, there is going to be a lot more on my packing list, but we've still got about, 20-ish days? I don't even know, probably a little over 20 days when I'm filming this, until we actually have to pack to leave. Actually, yep, no, I just did the math. It's like literally 20 days until I have to pack. I should really write this list. Flipping over, we have a space to plan out my tablemate gifts and my contact card. I'm honestly actually not too sure if I'm going to do contact cards because finding someone to print them in my area is tricky and I'm not really like super savvy with my Cricut yet, so maybe not. We'll see if I get onto it. But tablemate gifts are effectively gifts, doy, that you give to your tablemates, funnily enough, on the second day of the conference. So it's kind of like a gift exchange, gift swap kind of thing, but you just bring a gift for each of your tablemates. From my understanding, there are 10 people at a table, so you bring 9 gifts, unless you really want to buy a gift for yourself, I suppose. There is no real expectation to do this, it's just like a nice thing to do, and so I thought I would lean into that. You can see that I have planned out my gifts, so you can see I have planned out my gifts, or at least part of them. I don't know if I'm gonna get anything more, but I've bought myself 9 A5 blackout dot grid notebooks and 9 sets of the tropical acrylographs in the 0.7mm tips. I thought that would be kind of like a nice little combination, and they're like bright fun colors, which kind of just like, I don't know, to me matches the vibe of Go Wild. But I thought it'd be cool to use the paint pens on the blackout paper, so it'd be like a nice little gift together. I'm hoping it's appropriate. Like as said, I haven't been to Go Wild before. I hope people like it, but we'll have to wait and see. On the right hand page here, you can see this is my budget and savings space. And honestly, really, it's just kind of turning into a spending log. I'm not really planning on budgeting out certain amounts for different parts of the trip. I more so just want to know at the end of it how much it cost. So some of the different categories that I filled in so far are my ticket for the actual conference, my flights, accommodation, transport, food, attractions, table gifts, forms, and there are probably other categories, but I haven't put them in just yet. And a little bit of corner decoration, and then flipping on over. For our next layout, this is for my table mates. So for both days 1 and 2, I want to record who's sitting on my table with me. If they give me a contact card, then I might kind of put little bits from that in here or something, or I'll just write their details down, just as a way to kind of see who my new planner friends are. At this stage, I'm not really too sure how the layout of the page is going to be while I populate it, because I'm not too sure if I'm sitting on the same table both days, or if I sit on one table one day and another table the next. I know that you can sit on different tables, but you know, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. After this one, we have my nice to meet you page. So this is for effectively anybody else that I meet at the conference. I want to be able to write down who they were, write down something like an Instagram handle or like any other kind of social media handle so I know where to find them again. Again, just another nice way to list out my new planner friends. Flipping over though, this one I kind of wish I had to put earlier, but this is my feed me page. So this is effectively like a meal plan for while we're away. I don't necessarily have to have it fully planned out in full, but if there's gonna be any kind of bookings that I need to make for different eateries or whatnot, I would like to try and make them online before I go. So I'm hoping to get this one filled out. Not necessarily completely, but maybe like halfway, at least for dinners, let's say that. One of the things that Go Wild is known well for is the swag, so I did want a place to write down any swag that I do get. So what the items were, who I got them from, that kind of thing. I'm hoping this will be big enough. I don't know, I've heard varied remarks about how much space you may need to write down such a list. I am optimistic, this should be enough. On to our next layouts though, and these are all the ones related to speaker notes. So each of these little pictures came from the Wild for Planners Instagram. They did a little reel for each of the different speakers that are going to be speaking at the event. So I took the finished versions of those digital pictures, printed them off and stuck them in. The general idea would be that for each speaker I would write notes from their presentation beside their picture, but it might just be general notes as we work through. I think these are really cute and I'm really glad that they put them out because it was just like a fun kind of decorative way to remember these different speakers. I do wish that the pictures had been the same size though. It might be kind of hard to tell because I've stuck them on pieces of card, but not all of these little pieces are the same dimensions. But I think I did a pretty good job of sticking them in a way that makes them look fairly consistent. I will admit, a lot of these speakers I have not heard of before, some of them I have, but overall I am really excited to hear all of them speak, so there is that. And then on this page here, we have a place for my JashiiCorrin meetup. So this is happening on Sunday, March 5th from 1 p.m. The location isn't set yet, that is like my main job for this week, so I'm hoping to have that sorted out. And then underneath this we have a list for who. So I've got a little dot here to write in the number of attendees, and then I want to write down all of the people who come along and like Instagram handle, social media kind of connection, that kind of stuff, so that I can keep in touch with my planner friends. That's really the majority of the planning that I feel that I need to do for the trip. So after this, I just have some space for memory keeping. Now, when I go on a trip, I don't typically like to memory keep in a kind of physical format. I like to do vlogging and take pictures and stuff like that. So that's probably more how I'm going to be keeping track of my memories. But just in case there's anything I want to write down, I do have a space for that too. After this one though, we have the rest of the notebook, which is just blank at the moment, but I am going to be putting in a space after this for my trip to Orlando, which happens right after my trip to DC. I mean, I can't go to the US without going to Disney, right? As can probably be expected, I am super excited for my trip to Washington DC and to the Go Wild conference. If you're going to go wild, let me know in the comments, or if you're not, what do you think is one thing that I should try and experience while I'm in the US? If you were looking for more bullet journal ideas, then the playlists we have on screen here are where it's at. Click or tap on either of those and I'll see you over there.